There is a lot of things to love for the Houston Texans after the 2025 NFL Draft. If you would, the Houston Cyclones, considering they did draft two receivers from the same team. A lot of people think it's a good draft. Some people are a little disappointed with the lack of offensive line depth. But today we're going to break down pretty much every single pick, run through them, give you guys the thoughts on what I know from them. And we'll talk about the upcoming season, try and stay optimistic about how good these players can be for our team in the future. So obviously every pick might not pan out, but I think Nick Caserio at least has a plan. So if you would, hit that sub button. 88% of you are not subscribed. We have been rolling. Texans Digest has been on an absolute tear. I just want to thank everyone for watching all the videos. It's been a pleasure to bring you guys updates on the team. And we're going to try and do this every single day throughout the offseason. I know the draft is still buzzing, so let's talk about it. Texans had a strong day two. They did not have a day one pick, but they traded back, got an extra third-round pick in 2026, got an extra third-round pick in this year's draft, which they traded up to get Ariante Ursary, so that's huge. But day two was big. You drafted Jalen Noel, you drafted Jaden Higgins, two receivers on the same team, which, some people love Higgins, some people love Noel. But realistically, looking at this team, there's so much to love. And honestly, the biggest thing about all these picks is that they added talent. And the funniest thing is, normally when we watch the draft, the picks that we like are not the picks that the GMs and the scouts and all the other players like, because every year, and especially this year in rounds 2 and 3 and so on, I did not expect the players to be taken that were taken. And there were so many players that dropped that I thought would go higher, and then there were so many players that went higher that I thought would drop. So obviously that's going to happen, but I'll put the trust into the GM's hands and the scouts and everybody that knows pretty much what they're doing. Now, for the second round, the Texans drafted two receivers from the the Cyclones. So Iowa State has Jaden Higgins, 6'4", great catch radius. He rarely does he drop the football. Reminds me a lot of Nico Collins. Just a tall frame, can run good routes, catch the ball, strong hands, and it's good to have two X receivers, one on each side, but I kind of wanted a little bit more of a shifty wide receiver too. But honestly, I'm not going to complain. Two wide receivers that are 6'4" for CJ Stroud. I mean, all you got to do is put it near them, and maybe they could come down with it. So that's good. Jalen Noel. For those of you who don't know Noel, he is a quick, speedy guy. Now, to be fair, the Texans love the Cyclones receivers. They did draft Xavier Hutchinson as well, so that was interesting. Last year, of course, but 2 years ago, whenever Hutchinson was drafted. But the point here is that this is good for the future of the Texans. And you look at basically the two picks that they had in those middle rounds, it was perfect. Ursary, you traded up for him, you traded up for a third. This is great stuff. And honestly, looking at the depth chart for the Texans, it's going to be a lot of fun for this season. Right now, it's listed as Nico, Kirk, and Dell. Obviously, Tank Dell is most likely going to be out for the entire season with that crazy, terrible knee injury that he had last year. Wishing him the best of luck in his recovery back. Hopefully, he's doing okay. And Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, two very good wide receivers, two very different wide receivers, which is why they were so successful on Iowa State. It's just, when you look at it, Noel has the potential to be something crazy as a shifty, quick slot receiver. But if you do notice something with the Texans, most of the picks are on the offensive side of the ball. First three picks were on offense. Jalen Smith was a awesome pick. Jalen Reed was another awesome pick. But I've seen Caserio call on the phone with Jalen Smith, and he was fired up to be a Houston Texan. You saw, I don't know if anyone saw the video, but he called me, said, let's do it. Let's do it. He's ready to go. And I didn't know how to feel about that reaction at first, but to me, it was like a little bit confident, but he's ready to go. He's fired up to be on a team. He's like, get the Texans at. So I love that reaction. And it's just good to see that players are, taking that role in terms of I love the reactions on draft day. It's so much fun to just see the reactions and players just go to teams that, in general, it's a dream come true for them. But congratulations to all these guys, really. The only questionable pick that I would say is 197, Graham Mertz. I don't hate it, but when you're looking at that Texans quarterback room, it's really, really just weird. CJ Stroud, star quarterback. We all know he's going to do well. Davis Mills, I thought, was a solid backup. They took Mertz out of Florida, so Gators quarterback. I was just a little bit confused just why they took him, but it doesn't hurt to have a third-string quarterback, I guess. Here's the thing about the Texans, and Caserio said it. They had a very small draft board, so they were only going to take players that they liked, and I'm sure that guard was one of their needs. You see Laken Tomlinson, you see Drew Scruggs. Obviously, Titus Howard is going to move onto the inside. He's not going to play left tackle, and I like where Ursery's at right now, sitting behind Cam Robinson and learning. None of the tackles are most likely going to start day one, but however, that doesn't mean they're going to start all season. When you look at Ursery, he's got a lot of potential, and the biggest thing here is a lot of people were kind of crapping on the offensive line, like, the offensive line, why would that make any sense? But you got to stay optimistic, and these veterans aren't here for 9-10 years. I mean, they're not going to be on the team for a long period of time. Cam Robinson, he signed a 1-year, $15 million contract, so he's most likely going to be there, be a good veteran, do what he can, and then Ursery, I feel like, will fill in halfway through the season because Robinson has had troubles in pass protection. Ursery is a very good run blocker, and looking at what he did on Minnesota last year, the Texans love him for a reason, and it's mainly because you look at what he did, and he only had 1 sack last season, so that is a lot to love from there. So Big Ten Offensive Lineman of the Year, started 38 games, over close to 400 snaps. He is 6'6", 330, second team All-American, but just 1 sack last year and 1 quarterback hit. That is a lot to love, according to Pro Football Focus. So this is a good draft for the Texans. If you will look at all the guys that they took in the draft, I mean, overall it's a lot of offense. There was only 3 defensive players that they took. Hamilton from Rutgers, so you took a defensive tackle. I mean, overall, the first, and this is, day 3, I really wish I could tell you guys more. Woody Marks was a great pick. Jalen Reed, great coverage safety on Penn State. Luke Lackey, nice little Iowa tight end U, if you would. But I have to say, I mean, overall, this was probably the best move the Texans made. I mean, the 2 receivers from Iowa State was perfect. I think it was not what I was expecting, but to be completely honest, I love it. Because that's what you needed was offensive weapons. The thing C.J. Stroud struggled the most with last year, outside of getting sacked, was nobody could get open. And that's why he got sacked so many times, was because when you're throwing to John Mechie, Xavier Hutchinson, you don't have a lot of good receivers, you're going to go down when people can't get open and make good routes. So it was very tough for CJ to trust any of his receivers last year. I think as much as I wanted Emeka Egbuka in the first round, this is perfect. So you get 2 receivers, Jaden Higgins with a great hand radius, and Jalen Noel with a great slot receiver, and Christian Kirk, pretty much that Kirk plays like Noel, but he's older, and injuries have played a factor, and Higgins is pretty much just like Hollins. Why would you do that? Because you can use him so well, and the younger receiver core, the better. However, looking at the team, the offense is going to be absolutely amazing. I really do believe this team is going to be a lot better, and I'll probably go deeper into the offensive line and why they'll be successful this season. But basically, the reason I think the offensive line will be better than last year is because it can't get any worse. It really cannot get any worse than last year. You're telling me just because the Texans tore down their offensive line, that was terrible, by the way, last year, and Laremy Tunsil was getting paid way too much money, and he's just an overrated tackle because of the penalties that he kind of assesses. The 19 penalties he had last year, not good. And then all of a sudden, it's just, the relationship with Tunsil was shot. And I didn't like the way he was on the team, the way he was to everything. I don't know. I feel like it's better off without him. Anyway, the offensive line in general, my thought process is you may have brought in a lot of crappy mid-range veterans that aren't the best. But the veterans that you had last year were bad. If you look at the guard position last year, Shaq Mason, who led up double-digit sacks, was a almost liability playing the line. And then Kenyon Green, one of the worst first-round picks I have ever seen in my life. That guy was bad. So great, get him off the team. You go get Laken Tomlinson, who's 33, who knows what he's doing. And honestly, every single one of these guys can run block. They are run blockers. And I mean, Titus Howard can do it all, but it'll be Cam Robinson to start the year, Laken Tomlinson, Jarrett Patterson, Titus Howard, Trent Brown. And then Blake Fisher could probably fill in halfway through the season. Ursery can fill in for Robinson. This is what you needed. And then next year you can go out and get a guard for depth and we'll put him in for Tomlinson. I mean, that's the thing. Caserio signed so many gap players, and it's really worth it. But, I mean, overall, I'm happy to see what this run game can do with Mixon, Morse, Pierce, and Ogunbowale. Hopefully I said it right. But there's so many good things to love about the Texans. I love the draft that they had. It really is a lot to love. I really don't see how you can argue. You could have wanted them to do one thing or the other. But overall, I feel like even though it's not the players you might have loved, it's a good fit for the team. And it's going to be great because the offense needs to be a lot better. And for what they are building a lot of run-heavy schemes, but also they can do some play action now. If they can get a good run game and they can get some play action now, I think Noel might actually rush his way into the starting rotation halfway through the season. Love Christian Kirk, but again, getting older, we don't know how long he's going to be on the field healthy-wise, and I love Kirk, but I don't know how great he's going to be. So overall, love the draft. I mean, I don't have much bad things to say about it. Mertz was my only pick where I was like, the trade back, the trade up, it didn't really seem meaningful. But really, realistically, what is a third-round pick next year going to do, guys? I don't really see the point of arguing, the Texans shouldn't have traded up because they gave up a third-round pick. Okay, who cares, really? Is a third-round pick really the end of the world? It would have been different if they gave up like a second or a first. Yes, I know a third is a lot. But to be fair, they got that third from the Giants when they traded back. So realistically, they didn't give up anything. And even in the trade up in the second round, they gave up the Giants pick that they got after the first round trade back. So realistically, the Texans didn't give up anything in terms of trade backing up. So overall, love the draft. There's really not anything I can knock on it. But if I'd have to look at anything, it'd be the quarterback Graham Mertz, because I just don't understand why you're doing that when you have C.J. Stroud, especially when it was round 5. But regardless, this is going to be a fun year. The Texans offense is going to pick it up, and I can't wait for the season. Let me know your thoughts on the draft. I know we kind of been talking about it all day yesterday. I tried to talk about Woody Marks yesterday. This is more about all the guys on the screen at the moment. I think the guy I'm most excited for has to be Jalen Noel and probably Ursary. I hate to say the non-position players that make sense in terms of Jaden Higgins. Higgins is going to be a beast, but I'll go with the wide receivers. Honestly, it's going to be a lot of fun. The Houston Cyclones are going to go to work. But no, honestly, the Texans are going to be awesome this year, and I can't wait for the season. I know I can kind of on a ramble, but thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What are we looking to do this season? I think our win total's around 9.5, 10, so I think they can hit that. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's all I could say. But thank you guys again so much for watching. Texans Digest has been on a tear. Hit that sub button if you're new, and we'll catch you in the next video.